Hello fans of the Hannibal TV, David Penzer on assignment. We are here at the world famous Rahway Recreation Center. The Wrestler was filmed in this building, if you ever saw the movie The Wrestler. And tonight, it's going to be United We Stand, Impact Wrestling, and other promotions coming together for our star-studded pay-per-view. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go in and be part of the press gaggle, so to speak, and talk to Impact Wrestling executives, Impact Wrestling talent, and so much more. So we hope that we get your questions answered. We're going to head on in right now and see what happens.
How hard was the transition from the NFL to professional wrestling?
It was pretty easy. I've learned in 34 years of living when you have a passion to do something, the transition from whatever you're coming from to do that thing, or the road to doing whatever your passion is, it goes pretty smooth and it becomes really easy. So my transition was smoother than I expected because I really have a passion for this. So.
Thank you.
Were you surprised to hear about Gronk retiring?
No, I knew it was coming pretty soon. I mean, you gotta understand Gronk, his body has been through a lot. I feel like every off-season I've heard about some major surgery that he's getting done. So, I mean, great news for him. I think he needs to enjoy the money he's made and see what else is out there in life.
You've obviously been with Impact for quite a while now. What's some of the biggest changes you've seen in the company since your time here?
I feel like the company is ran more professionally compared to when I was here. And nothing against Dixie, she's an awesome lady, but I felt like she kind of lost the company a little bit, where people was kind of doing whatever they wanted. I feel like now is a little bit more accountability between the staff and the boys and just everything. So I feel like it's only going to get better from now on.
How surprised were you, if any, that the AAF didn't last the season? And how does that kind of coexist with the roller coaster you've had here?
I'll wait till this goes down.
I'll be sending autographs right now are Tessa Blanchard and I'll be signing autographs as well. Get your combos at this time. And we will have our pre-show match in less than 15 minutes.
To be honest, the whole thing with AAF, I don't know too much about it, but I do know, just as a guy who's tried to start businesses and whatnot, starting a business is very tough, and that proved the AAF fold and proves how tough starting a business is and starting a company. And I feel like if you compare the Impact, I feel like the media has been wanting Impact to fail now since it started in, 2002 or whatever the date is, and we're still running strong. And so that's my saying on that. And I feel like that puts a lot of pressure on the XFL, because I know Vince is starting that next summer or whatever it is, and the AAF fold and puts a lot of pressure in that, because I actually went to an AAF game and it was packed. So I couldn't surprise when I heard the news about the company folding. So we'll see.
Any chance D'Angelo gets back in the ring?
I'm working on it.
I was wondering if you have any funny stories or anything from Mark Andrews in the past.
Mark Andrews?
Mark Andrews, yeah.
Not really any. I'm good buddies with him. But we really didn't get to hang out that much, because when I first got the Impact, he was kind of like on the way out, so we didn't really get to travel much or hang out as much. But I talked to him once in a while.
Anything embarrassing you can share with it?
No, not at this point.
Last question? Who's your characters developed through the years? What do you think about wrestlers are reinventing themselves so they can relate to the fans, so that they don't get stale with the audience?
Pretty much look at me, man. Like you said it. I came when I first came to pro wrestling. I was like a clean-cut baby face, as you could say. And it got to a point where the original Moose character was kind of getting stale, and I needed to reinvent myself. I think it's always a good thing to reinvent yourself. You don't want to be the same guy for years, because then you get boring, you know. So I mean, I I feel like you always need to reinvent yourself in anything you do. That's cooking, that's being a basketball player, that's even professional wrestling. You don't want to stay the same. Thank you.
Just 5 minutes. Okay.
So Tessa, I was on a press call with you a few months ago, and you mentioned that intergender wrestling was something you wanted to bring to Impact One. How does it feel that's happened? Less than a year.
I'm really, really happy about it that we're kind of starting to make that transition. One thing over the past few weeks of Impact is if a man gets in my way, I've not been afraid to knock them out, so tonight's going to be no different. Same with Joey Ryan. My main focus has been on Gail, but I'm really excited about this transition that we're making with intergender wrestling, so I think tonight's going to be a cool thing.
Congratulations.
With the pedigree you have, how much of a higher standard do you hold yourself to?
I have very high expectations out of myself. I have a huge family name to live up to, a huge legacy to live up to. I feel the pressure of that every day of my life. But I feel like it's a blessing and a curse a little bit. I feel like since I am a third generation wrestler, I do have to hold myself, and there are a lot of people that expect certain things out of me. But that's one thing, I'm an athlete, and I'm a top athlete. I train 7 days a week. I'm mentally and physically prepared for any situation that I may be thrown in, and that's what puts me in the upper echelon compared to other knockouts.
What made you thoughts about the AAA press conference today and what you're hoping to do with them and how it's played?
Oh yeah, I remember 5 years ago being in my hotel in New York City, and I had the view of Madison Square Garden, and I had a video where I said I'm going to wrestle there one day, and never did I think that it would actually happen, like realistically, so it still kind of feels a little crazy to me. But just standing in the Garden today, there's this aura about that building that is just second to none. But one thing that I touched on at the press conference was Taya Valkyrie is the Impact Knockouts champion right now, but she wouldn't be if it wasn't because of Gail Kim. Taya's never beaten me in a fair fight one-on-one. Taya's always needed a stipulation or a special guest referee or something that puts the odds in her favor. Because I am a top athlete, and because I am one of the best, if not the best professional wrestler in Impact Wrestling, I feel like they have stacked the odds against me a little bit in Taya's favor. So maybe Madison Square Garden's the place that I take that title back.
Impact Wrestling's working so well with so many other promotions. Obviously, you're the WOW champion right now. Very different style and brand, but could you see crossover between WOW and Impact Wrestling now that they're back for like, whatever, 34 new episodes, whatever?
Who knows? One thing about WOW and Impact is they're both different brands, but collectively nothing about Tessa Blanchard changes. I'm the same Tessa Blanchard there as I am at WOW or at Impact. I'm very true to myself no matter where I go. One thing about WOW that I love is we're taking women who come from all different walks of life. We have girls from jiu-jitsu and MMA backgrounds, we have mothers, we have students, we have people from just everyday life who have found this love for professional wrestling, and they're finding this passion that we all share. And I live in Long Beach now. I'm training those girls 5 days a week, and when I'm not on the road, obviously, but to watch them grow and from scratch is just a really, really cool thing for me. It's something that a lot of people don't expect. Some people think like, oh, they're just actresses, or they're not professional wrestlers, they can't do it. But no, that just shows how little-minded or closed-minded people are, because they can do it.
Yeah. What's the biggest piece of advice that your father has given you about your pro wrestling career?
To always stay hungry. My stepdad told me one day, probably about 5 years ago, when I was just starting my training with George South in Charlotte, North Carolina, to go out there and become undeniable. And that's something that's always stuck with me over the years, and I feel like I've done that. I've traveled all over the world, all different continents. I've held championship titles in multiple countries. I'm 23 years old, and I was the first ever women's match televised in China. I've been Impact Knockouts champion. I've held titles in Australia, in Mexico, in the UK. It's a cool thing to kind of like look back and just kind of see what what's all brought me to this day. I'm very blessed, very grateful.
What was the first match you watched that your dad wrestled?
Ooh, my first match, live or just ever?
Ever. You ever seen your dad wrestle?
I have watched him wrestle live. I went to a show in Lenore, North Carolina when I was a little girl, and I remember my dad was bleeding in that match, and I was just so scared. I was just crying, and I tried to run up to the ring, and they wouldn't let me. But my favorite match of my dad's is against my stepdad at Starrcade 85, his I Quit match. And it's something that I always try to, everything about that match is what I want my wrestling to be. It's just brutal, realistic, and they're just killing each other. The intensity is second to none.
Talk about like the dream match between Gail and Cam. You can't make dream matches that much, but the dream match is going to happen. Still about like Gail and Cam.
Oh, definitely. I have high respect for Gail because she's one of the best. Without a doubt, she's one of the best. When women's wrestling was fighting for it to be what it is today, Gail was trying to make it happen before it happened. But that's where I've kind of been thinking the past few weeks is, I think that Gail knows that she was one of the best and that she's at the top of Impact. She's a Hall of Famer, she's a legend, and that's why she's trying to stop me, because she sees what's coming and she sees what everybody else sees, is that I'm going to surpass her. And so she's been holding me back because I will surpass her. And at Rebellion, she's going to see that.
Last question.
You've got to that next level. Do you think Impact's been a perfect place for you to express yourself?
I do believe so. They've given me that platform where I've gone places where they've told me what I need to do, what I need to say, who I need to be, what moves I need to perform. And at Impact, I get to just be me. I have creative control to be me, to do what I want, and to show people, screw you, this is what Tessa Blanchard's about. And if you don't like it, tough shit.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you guys.
First off, what are your thoughts about tonight's show that's coming up?
Really pumped up. I love the late night. I'm a night owl. I never sleep, so this is awesome for me. I haven't been back in New Jersey since ECW, so I'm pretty pumped to be back here, and I'm super pumped about all the matches, specifically the main event dream match, Lucha Brothers versus Rob Van Dam and Sabu, neither of whom I've seen since ECW closed, so it's a pretty fun night for me.
You mentioned obviously Rob Van Dam just announced that he signed a new deal with the company.
Yeah.
Was that in talks for quite a while? Is there anyone else you've been trying to...
I think, you know, since Scott and I came in with Ed Nordholm a year and 3 months ago, we talked about reshaping the roster. We talked about a 12 to 18 month plan, that the roster was going to be evolving all the time. Much like if you're a general manager with an NFL football team, you're constantly making tweaks to the roster. We've done that. People leave, we bring new people in. Signing Rob is huge. I got to call a lot of Rob's matches in ECW and was kind of on the ground floor for a lot of it. So having Rob Van Dam here is massive for us because Rob really hasn't lost a step.
So you talk about the evolution, the constant evolution of the roster and everything. Was the working relationship with MLW and AAA always a part of that plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're open to working with anybody, and it's the old paradigm of pro wrestling where we don't work with you, we only work with him or her or whatever. Like, that's very dated thinking, and the promotions that are still doing that sort of thing, I think are going to have challenges as they move forward.
You talked about almost a year and 3 months, kind of taking this from the ground up, changing it. What would you say has been the biggest thing that you've noticed that has changed in the past year?
I think that when we came on, there was a real negative stigma around the brand, and I think one of the things we wanted to do was change that. I think we were able to do that faster than what we had originally anticipated, and that's a testament to all of the stars in the roster. I mean, we really remade, if you look at the top 8 of our roster, we really did remake that top 8, and it'll actually, and the next 8 as well. So I think maybe the only guy that is really still here from before who was a top guy is Eddie Edwards. You talk about the Brian Cages, the Johnny Impacts, Penta and Phoenix, Sami Callihan, and more to come, Rob Van Dam, obviously.
How close were you to get Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega?
You know, I mean, that's a tough one. You'd have to ask them that. I mean, obviously, I have a relationship that goes back a long time with both. We made an offer to Chris that was a real good offer. I think, you know, a year, if you could go back in time a year, and it was us and WWE and New Japan, I think we would have had both of them. But AEW's come on the scene. I think it's great for the business, so it is what it is. And I just saw Kenny last week, and remain really good friends with both guys.
Are you in a mode of trying to get bigger name talent right now? You have a pool of young, hungry guys. Are you looking to add more marquee names like that?
I think we're always looking to add names, but for me, it begins and ends with the athleticism. So it's like a guy like Rob, who's a massive name in the business, multiple-time world champion. The thing I love best about Rob is still Rob Van Dam. So not looking to bring in guys who can't go anymore and are just names. We're going to continue to go after stud athletes like Rob.
Dean Ambrose leaving WWE and talking about getting out of the studio, like getting out of Universal Studios. Is there any sort of desire to kind of go on like more of a show to like a loop with regular cities like you went to Vegas?
Well, I mean, we're doing that now. I don't know if you're saying it's not like a territory. You're going to the same towns, but it's like we're doing like, you know, four show loops every month now, where maybe you're going to have a pay-per-view, a special, a couple TVs, a house show. That's slowly ramping up as well.
Like for instance, you have Philadelphia coming up.
Yeah.
Is there like eyes on Chicago or St. Louis? Or
I think all those wrestling markets are wide open. Philly's a good example of that.
With Dean Ambrose leaving WWE, is he on the Impact Wrestling radar?
I think Dean would be on anyone's radar, but I'll reserve judgment whether he's actually leaving till I see it.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
A whole lot of mics. What's up?
How you feeling headed into the show tonight?
Great. Had a good workout today. Good. Got some good meals in. Just the start of the whole weekend, so feel good.
Can you tell us what consists of the Brian Cage workout?
Oh man, it's a lot. That's like a long like 3-week episode podcast right there. I mean, I'm usually in there for a couple hours, just about every day of the week. But it fluctuates too because I'm always in a different city now, a different area. It matters how much sleep I got, how beat up I am, or whatever. But I mean, it's not easy. Hell, I got a video coming out on Saturday, workout with CT Fletcher. I think he put me through this hellacious arm workout that was over 1,900 reps, and my arms are destroyed still. Like not sore, they're destroyed. They're severe trauma right now.
How do you feel about RVD signing with Impact? Is that a match that you'd like to have here?
Oh, absolutely. RVD's fantastic. I've had a couple like, hey, what if, that'd be cool kind of moments that I thought maybe would happen, and it never did, obviously. So now that's more of a bit of a possibility. So hopefully we'll see what happens.
Just last year, you wrestled for Impact with the X division and heavyweight division. For you, has that been just great being able to kind of see the two sides of the company and keep all across the box?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I prefer to wrestle like the X division style and X division guys, if you will, or even just like some cruiserweights. One being too, when I started, I wasn't this size, but I always kind of wrestled this style even as I built my size. That's why I'm able to do stuff that most guys that look like me can't do. But being said that, I absolutely love being able to work with larger guys that are as athletic and as mobile as me, and to be able to work with both and be able to be versatile to have that option ability is fantastic. Going with that too, I would have loved to have had a program for the X title with Willie Mack, because I thought it would have been awesome to have seen this era's AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, but be two super heavyweights doing it for the X title.
You had some great matches with him and Lucha Underground.
Yes.
You got this big tag team match tonight. Where does your loyalty lie? Are you a Lucha guy? Are you an Impact on the way?
You know what? I love Lucha Underground. I actually thought season 2 and 3 were one of the coolest, most fun things. Obviously, that's where I met my fiance, soon-to-be wife, and mother of my child, Melissa Santos. And actually, I did just have the Lucha Underground hoodie on backstage before I came out here. But I mean, obviously, Impact's more the current we're at right now. I'm not even sure if Lucha's coming back or what's going on with that. I'm super thankful, and I've not been towards anything that's happened to Lucha Underground, but I mean, right now I'm Team Impact, and that's why I'm on Team Impact, so.
Do you feel that Lucha Underground has impacted how Impact promotes their product these days in regards to storytelling?
I see. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people from Lucha Underground that are on there, but then yes, because what made Lucha Underground cool and different was how it was a TV show about wrestling, now a wrestling show on TV. So yes, I've seen the things that Impact has taken from that to kind of make somewhat, cinematic or TV aspects of it, like the LAX storyline and this and that, the Dark Realm stuff. So there's a little bit of stuff that they've borrowed from Lucha Underground.
Do you think that's where the future lies for professional wrestling, with the mixture of the two?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, it very well could. I don't really see WWE going that route very much, but I mean, I did think that was unique and finally a different approach to wrestling that everybody was proud about, and I thought it was awesome. So I think if it's able to be done and done well, and I like to how Impact does it sparingly. It's not like it's all the time, it's just here and there. But yeah, when it's done and done well, I enjoy it. I think it's so cool.
Would you like to maybe get involved in one of those storylines here, like the Dark Realm, or just because it's familiar to you?
I mean, yeah, it's one of the coolest things I've done in Lucha Underground was I punched the guy's head off with the gauntlet. That was so cool. So like, yeah, if I got to do something like I loved Allie and Rosemary and Sue Young's thing from Bound for Glory. She had the axe in the neck and stuff. It's one of my favorite things. I loved it. I actually thought her next appearance on TV would have been amazing if she was like walking out to the ring with the axe still in her neck and like took it out before she started the match. But yeah, no, I would love. I'm a big comic book fan, big horror movie fan, so all that stuff's right up my alley.
Speaking of comic books, what's your favorite Marvel storyline?
Marvel storyline? Oh my goodness, that's such a detailed question.
We still have Tessa Blanchard on your signing over
Probably the Age of Apocalypse from X-Men. Yes. Yeah. Rock out for that one.
You were on the Jericho cruise. Talk about your experience on that and how the idea was to have to film money on a ship.
Oh, the cruise was. First of all, I love cruises hands down. It's especially because I get a bunch of free food, so I'm all about that. I've gone on a few cruises. It's my favorite vacations. Then you throw in wrestling and everything else on top of that. It was one of the coolest times of my life. And then to have, the whole Bullet Club versus Team Impact deal was awesome, and obviously something unique that you weren't going to get anywhere else or any other time. So I mean, it was phenomenal. Hopefully, I'm part of the next one.
We had to talk about Johnny Impact. Going to be challenging for the title at Rebellion. What's it mean heading into this big pay-per-view matchup, fighting for the title? How you feel about this?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say swear-wise, but you know what? It's been a long time coming. I feel like I'm starting like a broken record, wanting the rematch. I feel like I should be the champion. Obviously, it's gotten a lot more personal, heated. We had a nice little heated rivalry in Lucha Underground as well, since we're talking about that. But it's time to cash in and have his ass drop me that Impact World Championship. So.
Do you feel a little cheated that all these Ultimate X matches are happening now that you are not?
Yeah, right. What the hell?
You were the X Division champion and they didn't do them, and now that you're not,
I was so down. I was so down to be part of one too. I'm like, I want to be in that Ultimate X match, and then they're like, oh, I don't think we're gonna do it anymore. Then I freaking cashed it in, and like, oh, we have an Ultimate X match.
Yeah.
So whatever. I'm not the one, booking the card. So, but I mean, I still love the opportunity to be in one. So.
Yeah.
I told Johnny could have just volunteered me to be in it, and he could have stayed in the tag match. So
I didn't know you could just do that. Just stay in the match.
Yeah, right.
Done that.
He could be like, I'm choosing Brian Cage to be in that, and I would be the number one contender for both titles then. But whatever.
Do you think you're too heavy for the ropes? Is that why?
You know what? No, I don't think so at all. As a matter of fact, I mean.
Do you want to go try it?
I love watching people go stuff, Mike. I get all excited because I think too, this is one of the most creative and original concepts that Impact from the TNA days has ever created. So, and that's hard to have an original idea in wrestling now, that especially that sticks, that's really over. And I think this is probably one of the coolest things that they've done. So I definitely would like to take part in this.
Thank you. Would you want to see a child wrestle 18 years from now?
Do I want to what?
Want to see a child wrestle 18 years from now?
I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I'm a very open parent. I also have a son as well that's 12. But I'm very, supportive of, hey, you don't want to do wrestling, cool. You want to be all about wrestling, cool. Whatever it is. So I'm not a believer of forcing anything on them. So.
Okay. At this point in your career, what would you take back to your kids and say, this is my proudest moment?
Oh man. I mean, obviously the birth of my kids is a proud moment. I ran my own promotion too for a while. I opened it back in like 2004, 2005. And I got to work. One of my idols and people that really helped me out and I wanted to emulate in the ring was Chris Canyon. That's why I do the Who Better Than Cage too. I actually have his logo too on my gauntlets. I got to work him in my hometown in my own promotion. That's one of my just one of my proudest moments. I was really happy and stoked with. And then I guaranteed everyone. I wanted to be wrestler since I was 10. I guaranteed everyone by the age of 24, at age 10, that I'd be signed to World Wrestling Entertainment, and I got my development contract shortly after I turned 24. So I mean, that as well, through all people like saying that it'll never happen. I don't want to have the whole pity party thing that everybody cries about, but just showing like through hard work and a lot of sacrifices, I've been able to overcome and succeed with a lot of stuff that I wanted to do in my life when many other people thought that it wasn't possible. So. Good?
Yeah, we're good.
Cool.
Thank you. I'll start things off. How do you feel Impact's been since you've taken over the past year? How many months?
Well, I mean, I guess it's been, I guess it's been a little over 15 months. I think it's been a pretty good 15 months. We've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. I can honestly say that in the beginning of 2018, there was some moments coming in where me and Don kind of looked at each other and went, what the hell were we thinking? But I think slowly but surely, like we said, incrementally small steps, we've been making things a little bit better, improving. We took it out of a studio, got Impact Wrestling out where it belongs, in front of wrestling fans, paying wrestling fans that support and are invested in the product. And we're grateful for the people that have came along on the ride so far. And we're hopeful and excited that more people will continue to give us a chance. And, said it 100+ times, and I'll keep saying it. If you're supporting us, thank you, we appreciate it. And if you're somebody who's been turned off and hasn't been following Impact Wrestling in a while, then please, when you're ready, just come with us with open eyes, give us a chance. And damn it, we got a locker room full of great people, men and women that go out there night after night and leave it on the line. And they are very deserving of your support.
Would you say the morale has been the best it's been in a long time in Impact Wrestling?
I mean, it's hard for me to say, right? Because I really left here in 08, and then I came back for a short period as a favor, and I think it was late last part of 09, and I filled in for a few months. So I mean, it really, when I came here, it had been 10 years since I was here. So I'd heard a lot of stuff. I didn't see it firsthand. I know that when we walked in here last year that there was, there was a lot of sunken faces, and more so than anything, I don't know if morale was down. I think spirits were down, which is maybe the same thing. But I've seen disgruntled locker rooms where people are pissed off and angry. I think here there was a lot of people that were scared. They were scared because they didn't know what the future held for them. Because if Impact Wrestling went away, I think it was going to negatively affect a lot of people in the wrestling industry, and obviously a lot of people involved in this company in our locker room, clearly. So if there's one thing that I'm proud of, and Don and Ed, we're all proud of, everybody at Anthem, is now there's no more talk about going away. We've established the first part of our plan, stability. We're stable, we're coming out week after week, we're out there, we're doing our television tapings on the road in front of wrestling fans, we're getting out there, we're doing live events on Twitch, we're doing events for our app, and we're getting to do great events like this. Like here we are here tonight at 11 p.m. in Rahway, New Jersey, and we're going to put 1,000 people in this building and have an amazing show on Fight.tv, and it's one of the wonderful, amazing things about professional wrestling in 2019.
What are you most excited for tonight? Picking a favorite.
Boy, it's tough. I mean, the Ultimate X, obviously. There's never been an Ultimate X in an event like this, so there's a lot of preparation and work going into that. I'm excited overall because of the fact that we have so many different wrestling companies represented here tonight. The wrestling business that I joined, if I worked for one company and David Penzer worked for another, then we weren't allowed to be on the same show. We couldn't interact, everything else. Now, 2019, people are starting to understand in this industry, like so many other industries and so many other things in life.
Make sure to check out the merchandise tables over here, where some of the talent is out right now signing autographs.
guy's fired. But people in wrestling are starting to realize that instead of fighting with each other, we can work together and we can be stronger together. And of course, who's not excited to see what Rob Van Dam and Sabu can do in the ring with the Lucha Brothers? It may be wonderfully amazing great, it may be a total car crash, and I'm not sure which one I'm rooting for more.
How does it feel to have a guy like Rob in the mix right now? You guys have so much young, hungry talent. He's a big money player.
Having Rob Van Dam sign on here is fantastic. It's something that shows that people are choosing to come here. And you know, as Rob will tell you openly, RVD doesn't do
Great. You're doing great. You gotta pay bills, right?
Just ignore it. Right. So having Rob Van Dam join us here is fantastic. I liken it to, in the early days of TNA, Sting coming here. Sting had a lot of choices of being able to do different things or do nothing. And he chose to come here. And that made a difference. And having a guy like him, who is an elder statesman, who could still go in the ring, was fantastic. And I know that it's great to have Rob here. Our locker room's excited to have him. Our company's excited to have him. And I was back there talking to him, like, you think about it, like, sure, there's RVD and Johnny Impact. You know, there's RVD and Brian Cage, but who doesn't want to see RVD and Willie Mack? RVD and Rich Swann? RVD and, you know, some type of way interacting with the Rascals. Like, somebody's got to smoke something out of that group, right? So I think it's fantastic, and it's a sign of great things to come.
Cool, thank you.
Which talent are you looking forward to having on the Impact roster within the next year?
Well, I told you that. We wouldn't really be able to pop them out as a surprise. You know, I don't know. 2019, there's a lot of amazing talent out there. Here tonight, we have a bunch of people that aren't under contract, men and women that are part of the event. I think it's great to see, like, Joey Ryan, who I've known for many, many years, in a awkward situation. Joey Ryan used the power of social media in 2019, sent out a tweet, said, I'd love to have the opportunity to step in the ring with one of the best competitors, male or female, in the business. And here we're doing that tonight. So what comes next with him, or Dante Fox, who's an unbelievable athlete, you know, or so many more. I don't know, there's just so much great talent out there, and I look at what we've brought on board in the last handful of months, from the Rascals to Ethan Page to Josh Alexander, Willie Mack, I mean, really, Madman Fulton, so much great young talent that's coming in here and meshing together, and then that's joining the growth of guys like Moose, who I think is becoming one of the best all-around performers in professional wrestling. And I'm obviously totally biased because I helped train him. But to sit back and separate myself from that, the guy can talk, the guy can wrestle, you know, and the guy can go out there and just bleed charisma. So pretty excited for what the future holds.
Any chance we could see an intergender feud, which is something that really hasn't been done on a national or international level?
Certainly, I think you know, we're getting to a point in time, and one of the great things about professional wrestling is anything's possible. You know, we don't have the parameters of so many other things out there, and we can go out there, and if you look at it, you're going to have a perfect example tonight. You're going to see a fantastic, talented, world-class male performer step in the ring with a fantastic, talented, world-class female performer. And with these two competitors, once that bell rings, there's going to be no more male and female. There's going to be two world-class competitors, performers going out there and doing what they do best. So I absolutely think when the time is right and that spark happens, certainly it's time that we push that stuff aside. It's 2019. Let's go out there. You know, it's a great week this week for women in professional wrestling, and that needs to keep moving and going forward. And part of that, and part of being equal, is main eventing, you know, females alone, main eventing males alone, and also interacting between the two. So I think it's one of the things about 2019 and beyond that's pretty exciting.
I want to ask you, Impact's plans now globally for the rest of 2019. Is there any ideas to come to the UK or expand different territories a bit more?
Yeah, and like I talked earlier on about stability, we've established that now. We would like to get out there and starting having more of a presence, certainly in the UK and Europe. Like we air on Spike UK out there, Spike TV. We're there. We also air on the Fight Network. I got to get that cheap plug-in for our own network there, and in Italy and so many other places. We're still out there and air on major network with Sony in India and so many other places around the world. And it's important as we grow. Now that we have a stable base, we need to continue to grow domestically, but we also need to go out there and get out to so many of our international fans. And that's one of the things that Impact Wrestling has.
Where this time, Moose and Tessa Blanchard are signing autographs at this time. Here your combos against them right now. And also on your phone app, download the Ringside Wrestling app, the app for the wrestling superfan. Again, that's the Ringside Wrestling app, the app for the wrestling superfan. And we will have a special pre-show match just for you here in attendance at 10:30.
Eddie, go cane this guy.
Where's Sammy Callahan?
What was the what's that? Well, it wasn't ours, so who gives a damn? But no, you look at it internationally, Impact Wrestling historically has always had a huge following, and we have it in the Middle East, we have it in Europe, we have it in Asia, and we want to get out there and continue to grow all over the world. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
How you feel about tonight's show?
Tonight's show is going to be awesome. Impact always puts on a great show, and I'm excited to be here representing Lucha Underground versus Impact. I'm excited for it.
Can you give us an update on Lucha Underground? Last thing you've heard, whether it's coming back, what we can expect?
The last thing I heard from Lucha Underground is the same thing I hear every year. Absolutely nothing. They don't tell us anything. They call us and they're like, "So what are you doing next week?" And that's kind of how Lucha Underground works. You never know what happens with MGM, so we'll see what happens. But I can represent here, can't we? Absolutely.
Reflect on your time there. Like, what's the most fun you've had in doing the Underground?
Stabbing Phoenix in the face with a fork was pretty fun for me. Winning the Lucha Underground title and pile driving Pentagon on his head, that was quite enjoyable for me every single time. And anything involving Melissa Santos was a good time. So I was just doing what all you guys would have done anyway. Don't let him. He would have.
Do you have any funny road stories?
Any funny road stories that I don't know that I can say on media. Yes, but oh, you won't tell anybody. Yes, the media. That's not what the media does at all. Oof. Hold on, I'm trying to see what I can say on what I can't. What's another one?
Anyone you can think of.
I do remember my first night, it was just not really a road story, but my first night at Lucha Underground, there were some visa issues. So we go to the hotel, and it's just me and the Luchas guys from AAA, Drago, Phantasma. Those guys, they don't really speak a bunch of English. And I was one of the only ones from out of town. So it's only me, I was the only guy at the hotel. And so we're all sitting in the hot tub. There's a bunch of the Lucha guys, and then there's me. And they're talking and having a conversation in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish. Any of y'all know Spanish? Because I don't know it very well. I can pick up words, and then Phantasma was nice enough to say the whole conversation. They'd say the whole conversation. They'd all laugh, ha 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 ha, and I'd be like, ha ha, yeah. And then Phantasma would tell me what they would say, like, oh, but they'd all be sitting there staring, waiting to make sure you laugh. The best way to make friends with wrestlers, however, is bring a bottle of Jack Daniels. That's how I became friends with all the guys I couldn't even speak English with. So we go to a hotel, I bring a bottle of Jack, all of a sudden we're all friends. So not a great road story, but bring Jack and all your friends will come to you.
It's proof that it's a universal language.
I'm sorry?
It's proof that Jack Daniels is a universal language.
Absolutely. Universal language is whiskey. I love whiskey.
What's the biggest thing that other promotions could take away from the uniqueness of Lucha Underground?
I would say
think outside the box. You saw the cinematics of what Lucha Underground had. You see what all the stuff that Impact is doing. So for any other promotion trying to do something different, think outside the box. Look at everything's out there. People love wrestling, any sort of way you get it, and you tell them what wrestling is. So think outside the box and have fun with it.
What's your most gruesome injury?
My most gruesome injury? Let's see. My ankle break on WWE Tough Enough. It was something that was stupid because it's not like I was doing something really cool and then it broke. I was pinning a guy, he kicked out, I walked away and it just broke. And then that took me out of the competition. So that sucked. My other worst one was when I broke my ribs and I had to continue to do AAA TV out in Mexico because you gotta keep spot. So working with broken ribs, that sucks. And my broken ankle sucks. Anytime you break a bone, it sucks, right? So I think those ones are the worst ones.
Speaking of Tough Enough, when you were there, how did you get the call to go there?
How did I get the call to go there?
Yeah.
I was... that company never comes to Utah and does TV. Ever. I don't know what everybody has against Utah, but I live in Utah. No one ever goes there for TV. So I had to fly myself to California. I had to fly myself to Texas. I had to fly myself to Colorado. And they just kept noticing me here like, oh, I saw you last week. I'm like, yeah. And then I went to Colorado, like, oh man, I saw you last week again. Where do you live? I'm like, not here. This is in Texas. And Big Show actually is the reason I got my first tryout anywhere, is because he saw me in California, he saw me in Colorado, and then he saw me in Texas. And he's like, where do you live? I'm like, Utah. And you're in all three of these? I'm like, well, yeah, you guys don't go to Utah, jerks. And he's like, come here. Brings me over, and that's where he gave me my first chance. So.
All right, you ready here?
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm wide awake.
Wide awake? Better than me.
So what's your thoughts going into this show tonight?
You know, it's more about just the show. It's about the week. It's about the wrestling community. You know, this is a special week for the fans, for us. You know, we get to see people that maybe we haven't seen in a while. The fans get to see all the wrestlers. We get to see taking all these different products. And you know, tonight, United We Stand. We have talent from all over the place, all over the globe, all over the world tonight. And you know, it's about introducing Impact Wrestling to maybe a new fan base. You know, the fans that know us, they know what we're going to do, they know how we're going to deliver. But this week, a show like tonight, it's our opportunity to show the world and show the people who might not be familiar with our product. We go out there, we show them what we can do. You know, we're ready to just kick ass out there. That's what we do.
You've had that kind of crazy past 12 months of Impact, so many different stories and bad matches in between. What would you really put this run down to? Was there anything in the back of your mind that sparked this kind of edge side?
I mean, getting hit in the face with a baseball bat will make you a crazy man. And you know, that's the path I've gone down. It's a prime example of turning lemons into lemonade. You know, I don't know what I would be doing right now if Sam McCallaghan didn't hit me in the face with a baseball bat. You know, luckily there was no long-term injuries, but it led me down this direction. And you know, Impact Wrestling represents that different product. You know, we're something different for the wrestling world. And you know, you see on the past episode of Impact, you see the stuff in the Dark Realm and the Undead World and all this stuff, and you know, we're giving fans something different. You know, if you're not happy with the wrestling you're seeing, give Impact Wrestling a chance. That's what we do. We're something different. We have a little bit of everything for everybody, and you know, I'm proud to be a part of it.
Hey, as one of the longest, and not the longest, tenured member of the roster, how's the roller coaster been, and how do you feel about where it is right now?
You know, the wrestling world, there's ups and downs. We all know that. You know, I've been here through a few different changes, and right now I can honestly say that the group that we have, from the boys and the girls in the back to the wrestlers to the front office to the men in charge, to the Anthem Enterprises, like we have a team who all has the same goal. We want to move forward. We're trying to take a step in the right direction. We know how good pro wrestling, how Impact Wrestling can be. We know how good this product is. It's just about taking the next step, and we're all driving towards that same goal, one step at a time. We know it's not going to happen overnight, but it's taking one step at a time moving in the same direction, and that's what we're doing as a team. And you can feel it in the back. You can feel it when you get into the building. We're all here doing the same thing with the same goal, and it feels good. It feels good. Whose music is that?
Just saying, you're saying like give us a chance.
Yeah, man. You know,
shoulder like to give up on that negative mentality of like the old regime.
Yeah, you know, there's a negative connotation with Impact Wrestling, TNA wrestling from the past. You know, and if people aren't smart enough to tune in, that's gonna be their loss. You know, I think us as wrestlers, we're in this wrestling business. We all have a chip on our shoulder. We all want to prove that we're the best. And as a group, Impact Wrestling, that's what we want to do. We want to prove that we are the best professional wrestling product out there. And we're just doing it step by step. And, you know, we want to show the world, like you said, tune in and check out what we can do. If not, it's going to be their loss. No doubt.
You were talking about teamwork. What's it like working with Eli Drake?
Something that I never thought would happen, but honestly, I'm grateful to do it. You know, he's a friend outside the ring, which is good. And honestly, when he first came to Impact Wrestling, I did not like him. And actually, I know quite a few people might not have liked him at the start, but he tends to grow on you like a fungus. He tends to grow on you, and you know, he's somebody that I'm proud to call a friend, and I'm happy to be in the ring with him and continue this tag team because honestly, it's something different. I get to be with him, a guy who can run his mouth with the best of them and be in the ring with the best of them. So I think we have an interesting dynamic in there, and I'm really enjoying it.
What do you think about his thoughts on the whole intergender wrestling? He kind of is in the news and you know, a lot of backlash.
Hey, his thoughts are his thoughts. He may be my tag team partner, but I don't control his brain.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts? Intergender wrestling, there's a place for it in professional wrestling.
Who would you like to face?
Who would I like to face? My wife. in the bedroom, I'm kidding.
Once I talked to your wife, we were talking to Dreamer recently. A lot of people online saw it as a kind of passing the torch kind of moment. For you, was that just great for you to be able to have a story to rivalry with him and go back to some old school elements?
For sure, because, you know, honestly, I was a fan of him. You know, I still am a fan of him. And, you know, Tommy, it was interesting because as far as the television product, we got to show what Tommy's been doing behind the scenes for years. He's always been there for me. He's been there for everybody in the back. He's always offering his opinion. I know after my stuff or anything I do, I can go to Tommy, and he's going to give me his honest opinion. Tommy Dreamer loves professional wrestling. More than anybody I think I've ever seen or know. He loves professional wrestling, and he just wants professional wrestling to succeed. So it was cool to be able to do that on TV and to have him, you know, pass me a kendo stick in that ring. You know, it was a surreal moment for me. You know, I go back to the days where I'm watching ECW and watching him cane people all over the ring, and to have him do that and to be able to have a big match with him at Slammiversary, it was a dream come true. You know, we've already been talking, me and Tommy, right when we get here, we start talking, and we don't stop. It's awesome.
Speaking of ECW, you actually hit you in the face of the ECW Championship rep belt from the Pro.
Yes, he did. It was meant to be, I guess.
Now that you've been doing a lot more hardcore type wrestling, do you feel it's harder on your body than when you were doing more mat-based wrestling?
It's just different. It's a different style, obviously. So you just go through different experiences. I wouldn't say it's harder or easier. It's just different, and you know, your body gets used to it. It has to get used to it, unfortunately. Eventually. I'm still waiting for that, but it will. I'm telling myself.
Guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I mean, a little more specific.
Anything that comes to mind.
Well, today, for instance, actually, on our way here to New York from Ohio, the car of kids that I had going, I was asleep at this point, but I woke up to some. It honestly sounded like a horse galloping. It sounded like a horse, like. And I was, what's going on? And I wake up and the car's kind of shaking, and I'm like, so there's just like, they're like, oh, the tire's almost off. I'm like, what do you mean the tire's almost off? So I look out the window, and the tire was just doing this, like wobbling back and forth. It was missing 3 of the lug nuts, just disappeared from the tires. So we had to stop and put the spare on, and then we had to find a rental place and rent a car and leave it there to get fixed so we can pick it up on the way back. So. Yeah, it's never a dull moment on the road, that's for sure.
Who do you want to face in the future? Who's your dream?
Rob Van Dam. especially since he's going to be around more often. That's number one right there. Rob Van Dam, one-on-one.
How does it feel working on the same card as him? Because I mean, you said you've been a professional now for 4 years.
Yeah, only 4 years. I've been on the card. I've been on a card with him only once before. An indie show in Rhode Island, XWA, Resolution. He was in the main event against Johnny Impact. So that was definitely a match that was incredible to see live, and amazing to be in the locker room with him for the first time. And now I get to share one with him more often than that. So yeah.
What's the most grueling injury you've ever had?
Grueling injury. I haven't had too many bad ones yet. Honestly, I'm gonna karma cap on that. Probably partial separation of my AC joint in my right shoulder. That's something that's still. I went through physical therapy. I got my range of motion back, but it's never gonna be the same. And when I lift weights, I feel a difference on each side. I have to do a lot of unilateral exercises because there's just an absence of like strain sometimes in this part of my shoulder, and it kind of ruins the definition of my collarbone, which bothers me because I think my collarbones look awesome. And now this one's got a big ball on the side of it right here, and it's right there. Yeah.
What's your top goal for 2019?
Top goal for 2019. Let's put X Division Championship first, and we'll go from there. I don't think it's going to take me this whole year to get that, but we'll go from there.
Ace, are we done? Are you done? Are there more questions?
Yeah. Anything else? What do we got?
Your favorite match?
Favorite match that I've had?
That either you had or that you watched.
Ooh.
Looks like I stumped you.
Shawn Michaels and RVD for the Heavyweight Championship was probably the first match I fell in love with. 4 years old, that's one of the things that made me want to be a wrestler. Personal matches, tonight will be my 462nd match. So it's a lot to go through as far as favorites go. But man.
Good luck then.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, tonight will probably be my favorite, honestly.
How about favorite opponents?
Favorite opponents? Rich Swann, ironically enough.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, definitely one of my top favorite opponents right there, and he's got something I want, so.
Which wrestler gave you the best advice?
Best advice? Actually, the Boogeyman did. Yeah.
What was that?
It was, he said that not all the advice that you're gonna get is for you.
It's good advice.
Yeah, no matter what, sometimes guys are gonna give you advice based on their perspective, what they think, but not everybody's advice works for you. So.
We're good here. Peace.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you.
So a lot of questions asked by a lot of journalists, got a few in myself, and a lot of great content, specifically from people like Tessa Blanchard, Moose, Eddie Edwards, and both vice presidents of Impact Wrestling, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore. So we hope you enjoyed our little press conference before United We Stand. Tomorrow we head to the Ring of Honor Fan Fest in the WrestleCon, where we are planning on having one-on-one interviews with some of the greatest wrestling talent and some of the youngest up-and-coming talent in the business today. Have a good night. We're going to sign off on a Thursday night at United We Stand, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Hannibal TV.